Hey, I'm Jess Hugo, personal trainer and nutritionist, and I am here to show you that life is messy, but we're doing it anyway. Welcome to Doing It Anyway, the podcast for building the life that you want without burning out. Let's get into it. Have you ever heard that March is the new January? Well, you would have if you listened to my most recent episode where Lily and I yapped all things social media and everything in between. But I just feel like March is almost a fresh new year and opportunity because January and February are somehow so chaotic. And then you get into March and you already feel behind. Your gym sessions are slipping, your friends are ghosting plans, work just keeps piling up. You're finding it impossible to actually go and get that thing done. And when I say get that thing done, I don't just mean going to a gym session, meeting up with a friend. I also mean like finding time to get your eyebrows done, like things that actually feel good, finding time to get your hair done, like the things that you look forward to feel like you can't even book them in because there is so much going on. And I think as well, it's because when we set goals at the start of the year, which I love the way that I did them this year, and I did a whole episode breakdown on that as well, so go back and listen to that episode on goal setting. Even though it's March now, I think it still will be really helpful because we broke it down into the quarters. But when you don't do it that way, and you may have just stumbled along the podcast and you might not have even done goals this year, you might have just written a couple of things down, and there's no right or wrong, but I feel like breaking it up into quarters, 12 weeks, really helps us actually stick to our goals, because annual goals feel so far away. We're writing in January what we're hoping to achieve by, at least by December. Like, we want to achieve it obviously before then, but by December. But in January, you don't even know what the hell is going to happen in December. And then motivation dies. It feels so far away. And again, if you listen to this episode with Lily, I literally was like, oh my God, why am I blanking on what my word of the year was? Because I just feel like we don't revisit them often enough when we do annual goals. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the 12-week year method because it's more of a short sprint quarterly basis. And if you're someone that works at a business that, if you're in a high enough position that you're kind of like inside the behind the scenes, you know that businesses work in quarters. Or if you have your own business, you know that it's quarterly. When you're doing your BAS and your GST and all the things, it's quarterly, and businesses actually do have to move quarterly. But outside of business, I feel like everyone else is running this 12-month race and it just feels so out of reach. So when we're looking at this 12-week cycle, it's short little sprints of like focus and urgency, and then we kind of reassess. So for me, it's like the last 12 weeks, we were working on the launch of the relaunch of the podcast, which obviously you guys know about now, which is so exciting. The funny thing was that wasn't even really on the radar in early January. That was decided like the end of Jan. So when I was writing out my goals, yes, I had podcast related goals, but it didn't actually have to do with like changing the name and, coming in with guest episodes, and like that wasn't on the radar. But that's what happens when you do the 12-week method and you kind of refine and just stick to it. And make sure there's balance in there so that there's still routine, there's still like that social aspect, there's still work in there, and it's equally balanced so that you don't feel like one is weighing on the other. Like if I just worked on the podcast in the last few months, my Instagram would be like flopping, you know what I mean? And I just feel like I've equally shared between my Instagram, my podcast, even in my personal life, I've been picking up new hobbies and all of the things, which I know I've already shared with you girls, but it's like, I'm trying to really even out this balance. And sometimes I feel like, whoa, I'm doing a lot, and I'm like having a little moment of like, oh my God, I've just taken all this on and I'm doing it all alone and all of the things. But in the same breath, sometimes we have those seasons and it's going to feel hard. But when we do the 12-week reset, 12-week goal set, then when we get into that next quarter, which is like we're going into that now, we can take a little breath and reassess where we're at. So the thing is, with the 12 months, it just feels endless. It gives us opportunities to procrastinate for months and months and months. And I was even thinking ahead of like this next quarter, and I'm like, oh my God, like April, May, June, like we're going to get into winter in June. Like I can't imagine quarter 3 being good. I just feel like in winter I'm that type of person that's like dead in my bed. No, but I'm like wearing my hoodie and my trackies and I don't want to do anything because my hands feel so cold, even typing on my laptop. That is actually what like gave me the idea, not gave me the idea because I saw other people like doing online, but like what I was like, I need a Kindle clicker for, because I could not get my hands to come and click the Kindle every single page because it was so cold in winter. I was like, I need to click under the sheets, and my house is just like old and cold and it's like actually criminal. I'm getting off track, but I just know, for example, in that season, there's going to be less opportunity to, the sun's not out as much. I'm probably not going to be doing as much content outside. The daylight hours are different. It's going to be so cold. And, you have to kind of plan those things in seasons. And I know right now, like, I'm talking very much about business, but even for like my extracurriculars, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be so criminal. Like, we're going to be getting there in the dark. Like, it's just actually insane. But when we plan ahead like that, we know what to prepare for. It doesn't feel like this endless cycle of like, I can just push it to the end of the year. And of course, we come into January feeling really, really motivated. But by March, I bet right now, as I said, you're feeling off a little bit. You're feeling like you've fallen off track with the goals. It feels like they're too far out of reach, but there's still so much time to actually just reassess. And I have clients as well who may have come into January being like, I want to lose weight and all of the things. And that was a big fuck yeah goal, but they actually achieved it quite quickly. And this is like not me being like a plug-in coaching, but it's so true. One of my clients, she achieved this goal really, really quickly. So we're coming into like March and she's like, I don't really know what to focus on. And I'm like, let's do a little like goal reset, reassess where we're at. Let's actually focus on a bit of like a mini build. Let's not do high calories or anything like that, but we'll just push cows up a little bit. We won't go into like a full build of like weight gain, but we'll do a bit of a maintenance, and like this is why we're doing it. And I think as well, and this is a whole nother topic, and again, I actually swear I've done an episode on this, but I should do a new one because it feels like it was quite a while ago. But maintenance, for example, can feel so useless, and that is the same thing with your goals. Like it feels like, oh, I'm not actively seeing any instant gratification, any outcome in the moment, so I actually can't be bothered, and what's the point? And that's the same with maintenance, right? Because at maintenance, we just actually want to maintain our weight while we change the shape of our body, and we don't see gratification because we don't step on the scales and we don't see a change. We don't see it go up or down. We just really want it to glide very much the same. It's very slow. When we look at our bodies every day, right, we won't see changes, and maintenance is slower. It's a slow burn. And I think girls that give up on maintenance are girls that give up on their goals because it's hard. Arguably, it's harder being in maintenance than a deficit because there's no wins and rewards, and it's long term. It's not as short term as a deficit. And what I'm saying in that is like a deficit is you can lose 5 kilos in 16 weeks. And that's it. But in a maintenance phase, it's going to take you like 6 months to change your body. And that's not me trying to scare you off it. We should be living in maintenance long term. If you struggle to live in maintenance, that's a red flag, and you actually shouldn't be trying to go in and out of deficits if you can't even sit at maintenance. But she came in feeling like so behind, and I was like, no, you're in a really good spot. Like right now, it just means you need to prepare for the fact that it's going to be a bit of a slow burn the next few months. But let's reassess in like 12 weeks. Obviously, reassess week by week with check-ins and all of the things, but let's actually see how you're feeling in like the next quarter or even the next month, and just assess. Because with shorter periods, there's more focus, more urgency, more momentum. If we focus on something for 4 weeks and we do a little reassess in the next block, cool, that's like a new little spark, like a flame sparked. And it's the same with even like with workout blocks. I do 4-week blocks with my girls. Every 4 weeks there's like a new program in there, so then it's really exciting. It's like fresh new program. I'm excited to get in the gym. It's that little kick up the bum every month of like a fresh, like I'm working towards my goals. Whereas I feel like if we're doing the same thing for 12 weeks, which don't get me wrong, there's no right or wrong with this. There's studies and there's a lot of coaches that do the method of doing 12-week training programs, but I just know with my clients and like the people that I bring in, we are not interested in doing the same program for 12 weeks, which I totally see you in that. I think 4 to 6 weeks is the absolute max, but I also find that by that 4 to 6 week point, a lot of people are over it, tend to drop off all of the things. So that is why I'm like, no, let's do a fresh one every 4 weeks. I don't even know how I got so much into fitness. I'm trying not to just talk about fitness, but I think it's just like so much of our life revolves around a healthy lifestyle and things like that. And I also think some of these things are like actually just good for you to note, because you can bring it into your day-to-day goals and stuff like that in the same sense. It's just a really good way to give an example. You know what I mean? But it actually doesn't mean you're behind. It just means we need to reassess. So treating every 12 weeks like a full year, having more focus, urgency, momentum, all of the things, and applying it everywhere. Even like friendships, like can you actually do a meetup with your friends like every 6 weeks? And I know that sounds crazy, but even think about the community walks, right? I've only hosted 3 at this point, but every single time I give like 3 to 4 weeks notice, and even that sometimes is not enough. People already have plans booked in, already have stuff going on and stuff like that. So 6 weeks might sound like a really long time, but I think even like the 4 week point, because I'm like, what is the line here, right? Whenever I like let everyone know, it's like, yeah, as I said, 3 to 4 weeks. And then I'm like, anything more, I feel like we're forgetting about it. We're not putting it in our calendars. And I know it's different between like a community walk and, you know, hanging out with your friends, but everyone is like so busy. Oh my God. Oh, I hope I just made you all yawn. I'm not cutting that out. No yawns. I hope, you know, when someone yawns and you yawn. Sorry guys, seriously, I can't believe I just yawned. That is insane. And I couldn't even stifle her. I was trying to. Anyway, with your friendship, it's like, you know how it's so hard to get everyone in the same room and stuff like that. Planning every 6 to 8 weeks, even 12 weeks, which does feel like a stretch, but that's better than nothing. Even as I said, with the community walks, I've been doing them like every 12-ish weeks, maybe every like even longer, because I don't have structure around it. I'm like, cool, I just feel like doing it, let's do it. But let's actually talk about structuring a 12-week plan. So we're going to pick 1 to 2 goals. It doesn't need to be fitness, but let me just put this example for now. If you don't have fitness goals in the top of your priority, you can just change them out. So pick 1 to 2 fitness goals that you're going to focus on, whether that's I'm going to do 10K steps every day for the next 12 weeks, whether that's I'm going to meal prep every single week for the next 12 weeks, just something like that. And then choose 1 to 2 social friendship goals. So as I said, I'm going to do a meetup with the girls every 6 weeks. So that means you're going to have 2 meetups in the 12-week plan, and maybe even something like I'm going to organize I'm going to go to like a book club. I'm going to go to a community walk. I'm going to go to something like that. I've been seeing so many book clubs pop up and stuff lately. I think they're so cool, and it's not hard to just go out on one night. And you know what? Even lately, I've been getting invited to some brand things, which you guys know I dabble in, but I'm not an influencer by any means. And there was one coming up, and I already had something on that night, and I was like, do I go? Don't I go? It's kind of, and you can just talk yourself out of it. Like I was like, oh, it is kind of far. It's on a school night. It's going to be kind of late. Then I have to get all the way back home. And I think as well, this is a bit of like a biased or like one-sided opinion, because I live so far from like the stadiums and the theaters and everything like that. Public transport is not my way. It's actually like literally commuting home for me is like an hour and a half, and I think that obviously puts like a damper on it. And I was like telling myself all the reasons like why it probably won't be worth my energy going, and then I was like, oh, it's also just like one night. Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? It's like one school night that you're going to book club. Like, is it that bad? You know what I mean? So don't get in your head too much about it. And then lastly, a work or side hustle structure and priorities. I say this because I know some of you are trying to move up in your jobs. I know some of you may be recently like graduating and looking for post-grad jobs. I also know that some of you are like starting your little like side hustles. I've also been noticing actually lots of people have been starting like little side hustle baking things, and they're going to the markets and stuff. Cinnamon scrolls are really popping off lately. I'm here for that. I am here for that. Actually, one of my clients the other day, she was like, you hate cinnamon scrolls, don't you? I said, what? Wrong, bitch. I was like, what do you mean? And then she was like, oh, the cream cheese. Oh, and I was like, no, I do not like cream cheese topping, guys. But a Biscoff scroll, fuck me up. Fuck me up. Biscoff is always like the safest option because I know there's like no fucking cream cheese in it. Seriously. Anyway, off topic again, but I actually feel like you guys are here for the vibes. You already know what my personality is like. Anyway, so let's do a how to plan that actual structure in 12 weeks. So what I want you to do right now, whether you pull up your notes, whether you voice message your phone, which I've been doing a little bit lately. I'm like doing a little voice to text thing in the notes, but I know you can also like do a voice memo, or even if you think right now in your head and write it down later. But even when I say later, like do it ASAP, because I know that you're like this, because I'm like this. I think about something and I'm like, I don't need to write it down, like I'm gonna remember. I never fucking remember. I have a creative brain with 101 things going on. I am not fucking remembering. So writing it really down in the moment. So let's do a brain dump. Everything you want to achieve in fitness, friends, social life in the next 12 weeks. What I even suggest is if you were someone that came from or did the breakdown of the goals that I set out in the start of the year. Why was that such a like mouthful to say? I'm so sorry. Go back to that list of what your big goals were and then like break it down even more. I know we already did it in like a 12-week thing then, but breaking it down even more. I've been actually going back to my document at least every week to fortnight and seeing how goals are going, especially data-driven. Oh my God, why am I struggling to speak? Sorry. Data-driven goals. So for example, I had some numbers that I was wanting to hit around the podcast and things like that, and I've been like checking in on them every few weeks. So if you've neglected that document or journal or wherever you put it, I want you to start there and use that list to go from there. But also equally, your brain might have changed your mind in the last 12 weeks. So start with the brain dump. Next, prioritize. Pick what actually moves the needle. I feel like so many of us like to pick what we can easily achieve. Like I've had clients before say, I'm just going to say like be more social. That's so easy. You don't need a goal setting, to-do list, reminder to be more social. Like you're not actually pushing yourself and extending yourself any further by making them that easy. Like boring. So actually pick something that feels a little bit scary, feels a bit uncomfortable, but is going to get you to that next step. Next, mapping out weekly actions. So like what small steps you'll actually do every single week to stay consistent. So don't just write down, okay, I'm going to do a 10 to 12K steps every day. How is that going to work when you have an admin job and you don't have a gym membership? And it's been raining nonstop. Seriously, this rain won't stop. So like, how is that going to work, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to do 10K steps because I'm going to wake up every morning and do a half an hour walk before work. And then I'm going to, maybe you will get a gym membership if you don't have one, and you're going to do 15 minutes before your session and 15 minutes after your session. That's in an hour of walking. That's 8,000 steps ish. Let's say 6.5 to 8, just because everyone walks at a different pace and level and all of the things. And then you're going to get the rest at work. And then you're going to be at around 10 to 12 in that range. Slay. Done. So really breaking it down in a way that makes sure that you can actually achieve it. So those are small steps. Even with the meal prep, I'm going to make sure that I'm at Woolies by 8 a.m. every Sunday so I can start on meal prep really, really early and I don't feel like I've wasted my whole day at Woolies, in the kitchen, all of the things. And also what I love is accountability check-ins. So friends, a coach, a journal, a habit tracker. I see a lot of girls post on Facebook groups like looking for friends and group chats and whatever for accountability. You can join something like that. A habit tracker, the Beck Stewart habit tracker looks really, really cool. I feel like I love a little physical thing. You guys already know that. So something where you can actually write it down, or even think about when girls do 75 hard, which I'm not suggesting you do 75 hard, but they do the post-it note thing where they pull something off. So you could even create like a bit of a post-it note thing in your room where you pull it off every day you hit your 10,000 steps or anything like that. If you're inside coaching, you already know you can like tick it all off in the app and stuff, but I love a little like physical moment as well. Something I also get my clients to do is like put little affirmations around the room, write their goals near it, all of the things, to constantly remind them of the things that they're capable of, but also what they're working towards. Because if we're not actively seeing our goals, we're never going to remember about them. So what that all looks like, as I said, 10K steps, this is how I'm going to do it. Socializing with the girls, making a booking every 6 weeks, going to a book club, whatever it may be, going to even like joining a social netball or something like that. Really, really cool. So let's talk bit of mindset. Let's not get wrapped up in perfection here. We really need to be flexible, because if we're going to be worrying about perfection, like nothing ever will get done. So really wanting you to focus on like messy wins here rather than perfect planning. As I said, not every day is going to be great. Maybe you won't get that half an hour walk in the morning. Maybe you slept in, but that doesn't mean you're not still capable of at least hitting 8K on that day. So being like, okay, what can I actually get done and achieve, rather than beating yourself up for not having that perfect routine in place. What matters the most right now in this quarter as well? What does the next 12 weeks look like? What is that one overarching goal that you're wanting to achieve? And you might be like, oh, Jess, there's so many things I want to achieve. Like, how do I pick one? Go with what came out of the brain dump. And like, what's the first thing that comes up for you when I talk to you about goals? Like when you clicked on this episode, and I started talking about overarching goals and things like that, what's the one thing that's been on your mind? What's the one thing you wake up and go to bed thinking about? I would say that is your top priority right now and your top goal right now. So let's talk tools for tracking. As I just said, we'll do the little post-it note thing. I love that, or like a little affirmation thing, but also a calendar blocking situation. So I use Google Calendar. It used to not work for me until I kind of realized that I just needed to be less structured around time, unless obviously I had a very like booking like that was like 2 people were meeting at the one time, or like whatever. But I used to be like, okay, I'm going to the gym at 2:00, but I felt like that was too rigid for me. So what I do now is I'll create like a block from like 1 till 4, and I'm like, okay, I'm going into the gym there. That includes the drive, the session, all of the things. So then I can go anywhere between like 1 to 2, and it doesn't need to be perfect. So I really, really like doing that. Even the same with like the dinner bookings. I have the dinner at 6, but I'm going to block like 5 to 9 because I just want to create more of a time in there to include for getting ready and stuff like that. But I don't want to make it so specific of like 5:15 get ready, 5:30 get in, you know what I mean? It's just too structured for me. So if you're someone that's like, I really struggle with calendar, I actually highly recommend doing the little block and like making things make sense. Even like today I have something on and I booked something after it because I was like, well, I'm already going to be there. And like, I just blocked that whole time off for it. And I'm like, okay, I'm also going to do this while I'm there. And it's so much easier if you're like just doing things together rather than like, you're out today going past the shops, but you're going to go to the shops tomorrow. Like, it's just a waste of your time. You know what I mean? Doing a journal and weekly reflection, I think as well, you'll get that reflection if you have a post-it note situation or a habit tracker, because you can physically see there with your own eyes, not on technology, just using your brain and paper, like what you have and haven't kind of achieved and done. I also think as well, as I said with the batching of things, so like if you're going past the shops, like go into the shops, it frees so much mental space as well, because then you don't have to think like you've just done all this stuff on a Monday, right? And then you're like, fuck, still have to go to the shops tomorrow, like now Tuesday's like shops, and it's just too much. Our brains aren't designed for that. So really just like making sure we habit stack in the moment. And I also stay on top of all of this. I haven't fully got around it, but I do have a bit of a portal going on, Notion. I'm not the best at it, I will be so honest, but you can create little like tables and like tick things and graphs and all of the things. So if you're like, oh, I'm not really like a paper girl, which I get as well. Like I bought, if you follow me on TikTok, you know, I bought a planner for the year, like a business planner, journal, diary, like calendar, dates, all of the things to write stuff down. And I thought it was like going to be A4. I didn't read the description. This is so on me, but I hadn't even seen anyone post about it really. It's A3. It's fucking huge. It's designed to sit on your desk. I was like, oh, I thought I was going to like take her around and like have her in my bag and stuff. But like equally, then what do you do when you don't have it? You know what I mean? So like with my laptop, if I do it on my laptop, I know that it transfers to my phone. So then I can always access it from anywhere. Whereas like imagine you're out somewhere and someone's asking you something and you're like, oh fuck, my calendar's like on my desk at home and stuff like that. So that's the only reason I like kind of dabble into Notion and like even like using Google Docs and stuff like that, because you can access them from your phone and just be able to go on them all the time. Same with Google Calendar. I have it both on my laptop and my phone. So if anyone asks me in the moment, I don't have to be like, oh fuck, I need my laptop or I need my physical diary. You know what I mean? So just being really smart with that. But so what I want you to do is pick one 12-week goal, implement her today, start working towards her today. And I'm actually going to hold your hand in this a little bit. I'm actually going to pull you forward a little bit. I really want you to share with me. I want to hold you accountable here. Send me a DM, or if you are writing it out in a journal, send me a photo on Instagram so that we can actually like talk together through actions, because I think as well, we can really listen to episodes like this and think, yeah, fuck yeah, like I'm feeling really great, I'm going to do this, and you're feeling inspired to do all of the things, but then it can feel really hard to actually like put it into place. And I know right now I just made it sound really easy, but just remember guys, like I've been doing this forever. And don't feel ashamed if you write it down and you're like, well, I actually don't know how I'm going to action it. So slide into my DMs and we will do a bit of a action situation together and map out your next 12 weeks so that we can really figure out how you're actually going to get it. Because as I said, we're going to slog into winter soon and it's actually going to be so depressing, and I don't even want to think about it beyond that. But it's going to be an easy time to fall off. So we're actually getting ahead of the curve and like starting early so that we don't fall off. And I know it's really, really hard to do that breakdown. So I really hope this changed your way of thinking about your goals. I really hope it actually got you back into looking at that document or looking at that journal, because your goals shouldn't be neglected. 2026 is our year. I believe in all of you and your goals so much. And I know sometimes it can feel really, really hard with 101 things going on, like to put yourself first. But at the end of the day, if you don't put yourself first, you have nothing and you have no one. Stop putting other people first all the time and leaving absolutely nothing for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you in the next one. Mwah. And that is a wrap on another episode of Doing It Anyway. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love for you to rate it 5 stars, share it with your friends, share it on your stories. And if you have any feedback, I would love to hear it. Please shoot me a DM on Instagram. All my links are below. See you in the next episode.